And hello, movie lovers. And today I actually have Vernon Kelly on with me. And matter of fact, we're going to be reviewing the Blockbuster Netflix show that just aired over last week. We punished ourselves for you, so you guys are welcome. So now you don't have to do the hard work that we went through. So with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get with the Blockbuster TV show by Netflix, and let's do this. Hey, Vernon, what's going on, man?
I'm well, John. Thanks for having me back on.
You're welcome, man. It's always a pleasure to be able to do these reviews with you. And I just want to say, I always have a great time getting different perspectives from you. We might not see eye to eye on some movies or whatever, but sometimes we're actually two for two right now.
We are.
In
We're
a
pretty
sense.
aligned, man. I enjoy being on your show, on your platform. Anytime I can help out, I'm here.
Right. And like I said, we're going to be doing this review for Blockbuster. Now, if you guys go and look at my trailer reaction that I did with Charlie, I was excited for it because of the fact, number one, I thought they were going to go into the nostalgia factor. Number two, I thought it was going to be employees pulling pranks on each other and having conversations within the Blockbuster unit itself and having just conversations about their favorite films, what found their inspirations. You have a little bit of that, but it's more forced than it is with the dialogue. But that's what I was thinking that I was going to be getting into this. I was thinking nostalgia. I was thinking about it was going to be about the workers. I was thinking it was going to be about the customers. And it's not about any of that. And you're trying to make, now, Vernon, correct me if I'm wrong here, but basically this TV series, if you think about it, is trying to make the generation of 2022 care about renting movies when they don't care about renting movies. This generation don't care about that.
Yeah, it was, and I think you hit a great point. When you market something to a generation that isn't even aware that it existed in the first place, it's not that you can't do it, but you really have to be strategic about it. And the problem is the content that they released did not focus on that. There is no focus on the late 90s, early 2000s, that kind of rush, that nostalgia that you mentioned. You literally placed Blockbuster in 2022 and beyond in this kind of modern day scene. A generation that grew up with basically Netflix and streaming platforms, they are not aware of the rental craze of actually going to a brick and mortar store. So you didn't, because the producers, the developers, the writers did not do the proper framework, you sabotaged it from true greatness.
Yes, definitely. And before we get into the humor and the plot lines and stuff like that, another thing I want to mention is this. Now, the way that they should have done this, and I'm not a writer for Netflix or anything like that, but they could have done like the early 2000s,
right,
and then brought down to where Netflix winds up running Blockbuster out of business to the point where it's only one store, and then let that be your season 2 of how to operate this business and going throughout the years with the main character.
That actually would have been genius. Let's say you start 2002 or 2003. You started
because here's the thing. At that time, DVD sales were going through the roof. If your movie didn't make that much money, you could make your budget back with renting movies or buying movies.
Right.
So therefore, you can actually have that. That would actually work.
Right. And you would have said it in a time where you would have had to discuss those issues and that climate, that political climate, that social climate of that day. So this would have been Bush presidency. You would have had to factor in everything post 9/11 and just kind of understand where the country was and why Blockbuster kind of became the standard, I would say, weekend thing, right? And then you could have built a storyline along with that, and then bam, you have an instant classic.
Exactly. But no, they fumble the ball more ways than one. You come out with it in 2022, which basically doesn't make sense because now they're supposed to be like the last blockbuster in 2022 when basically that last blockbuster doesn't go with the timeline whenever that last blockbuster is still standing.
Yeah, because the last one is in Washington, the state of Washington, but it's a museum. and you can rent it out as an Airbnb. So it's more of a place to visit and a cultural phenomenon. It actually is not in
Well,
operations.
there is one store that still remains open.
That the one
It is called the Last Blockbuster.
oh, it's called the Last Blockbuster. There is one last, I guess, front.
Yep, and it's yeah, and this woman, let me tell you what she does, Vernon. Every single day she goes over to Sam's Club. She gets the candy. She'll go on ahead and buy the videos and stuff like that. She has to keep upgrading her software because the computers are so old to the point where she has to keep rebuilding that computer.
Well, I admire the entrepreneur effort that this person has. So kudos to her. But at the same time, if that is, that's being the case, it's a bad precedent for building entertainment value around. And what you do to the consumer is now you make us choose between fact and fiction. We know it's fiction, but you're not basing it off of anything. You're basing it off unproven truths. And now you really have to rely on the strength of your cast.
Right. And let me just say this. I love Randall Parker. Randall Parker, to me, is one of my favorite actors, especially whenever you look at the last Netflix movie that they came out with was it had Keanu Reeves cameo in that movie and it was a good rom-com that he had out. And I really like that movie. But having him as the standard of Tenny, and he plays Timmy Yoon, the manager of the Last Blockbuster video store. He's a dreamer and a lover of films. And here's the thing: I think that he's actually the person that represents us as this person who loved working there since he was in 7th grade. He loves telling stories about things that he's done in when he was in the 7th or 8th grade or whatever, stuff like that, and how he ended up still working for Blockbusters over 15 years. And there's even a joke in there about him being basically a dinosaur because he's been there for so long. So that part lands for me a little bit. But then when you get into the comical aspect of it, when you look at the whole entire, we're going to have a Blockbuster party outside. We're going to get memberships to be signed up. We're going to go ahead and have this big gorilla, a DJ. And I'm like, this does not make sense.
No, you're absolutely right. I think Randall Park is an underrated talent in Hollywood. He's an up and coming star if he's not a star already. You're right. This Last Blockbuster is in Oregon. I thought they turned it into a museum, but maybe not. Okay, nope. So I thought that was the plan, that they were going to turn it into kind of like a nostalgia piece. You would go visit, kind of but whatever, it exists. So, but yeah, Randall Park is good. He has talent. You've seen him on the Young Rock. He's been on a few different content that has been released, not just Netflix. Has been released on Peacock. I don't think the problem was with Randall. I think the problem is with what they were trying to force Randall into. He's also on Quantum Leap, so he also has another show.
Okay.
Yeah. But Randall is a good actor. I mean, rom-com kind of really is his thing. I don't know what to compare him to because I think that's not fair. But I don't think straight, when I say like just humor, like just comedy, however that is, if it's slapstick or whatever, I don't think this is like The Office, right? They wanted to make Blockbuster very Office-like, very Abbott Elementary-like. And the problem is when you do that, you have to have comedians or people that are very aware. Like Steve Carroll, right? Like you have to have people that have this type of timing and whatnot in delivery. And the only one that really has this timing is JB's character. But JB is not a part of the main cast. That's why it always says special guest JB Smooth, right? So you have a basically special guest doing a lot of the lifting. I think one of the better episodes was the firing. They had to fire somebody and his daughter ended up quitting. Like that was actually good, but he was doing a lot of lifting, and it places Randall on an island, and it's not fair to Randall's talent or some of the other talent that's on the cast, right? If you could have had an antagonist that was of equal whatever, like Superstore, right? Like you have to have somebody else that like they're a detractor, but they're so good that it makes you not focus on Randall. It could have been a match made in heaven, but Randall Park for this role, it's not that it's him; it's what they gave him to kind of work with, the atmosphere, and I just think they did a disservice to his character.
Here's the thing. Ever since I've seen Quincy on the show, which is him, I feel like some of that stuff is basically forced. That's just me seeing the character the way it is. It just didn't land so well for me, and it's not like you said, no discredit towards the actor.
Right.
It's the writing and the stylistic of what they're doing with those characters and placing them the places that they place them in. And even when he does the DJ thing, that felt forced.
Yeah.
The humor with him was forced for me.
Yeah.
I know that comedy is the most hardest thing to do. It's the most hardest subjective genre to do. Mm-hmm. But for me, that didn't work. If I'm not laughing within the pilot episode, even though the pilot episode itself is just the layer of the cake of what this show is supposed to be, and it's actually hard to get through. So that's why I always give a show of about 4 episodes before I actually judge something.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm caring about this and I'm wanting to laugh, I decided to do basically a root canal on myself and try to do this as quickly as I can just to get it over with, basically. But the Randall Park character for me represented me because that's who I am.
Right.
And I actually could relate to his character because I'm actually the type of person that will go above and beyond for people, help my friends, and then help my family. And then, yes, people walk over on me and everything too and stuff like that, and allow people to, you know what I'm saying? So I can relate to Randall's character. I can really relate to him in those aspects.
But shouldn't they have made Randall therefore make him allow that focus to be the focus? Right, like therefore we could take it off of Blockbuster. Like I'm cool with Randall's character. Like Randall is not the issue. I enjoy Randall. I just don't think they've invested enough development as far as bringing that out because they want to focus on the store. They want to focus on the dry wit. They want to focus on the fact that people are streaming and that nobody goes into the store, and then it's a lot of dynamics. So it's even though you might see yourself. You're seeing yourself retrospectively, and that part of you is 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and it's in the past. And in current present day, because it's not really telling a story based off of the past, it's telling a story in the present, speaking to the past. So I don't know, it's just a weird hybrid.
I can see your point on that, but also too, I thought that one customer that Randall winds up recommending a movie to, I thought he was going to keep coming back because I really wanted to see that character come back again because he loved renting videos from Blockbusters, and they don't do anything with that character. He's only in there for the pilot episode, and then he quickly leaves. They needed to have him back in that store over and over and over again.
They did. And I think that's the sign of where your director, your producer needs to have this talk about the direction of the creative direction of the content itself, right? Like what are we really trying to tell? What story are we really trying to convey to the audience? Because we could be sending mixed messaging that is getting misinterpreted. And instead of you could create consistency or inconsistent consistency, right? So like a character like that, you see him in the pilot and then he doesn't show up in episode 2, but then you see him again in episode 3. And it's like something you look forward to because this is like a good surprise. The problem is you didn't carry him over to any of the episodes and you left us kind of hanging like there is value in renting films in a physical brick and mortar location and have to take it back. But then I said to my wife, I was watching, I said, the reason why this doesn't work is if I rented a DVD now, how would I play it? Like it just, I really don't even know. I would, my laptop, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Even my laptop, here's
my
the thing.
laptop doesn't have anything.
Let me show you something.
You bought the DVD, right? A flash drive, right?
No. This is not a flash drive. This is legit a DVD burner.
It's a DVD. Oh,
and stuff like that. But that's the only extension that you can actually do to get us, because my computer don't have no CD drive
Me either.
or anything. So that's the only way. But although my PlayStation 4 has a CD drive, DVD drive, so I'll be able to do that off of that. But the PS5 has the option of either you can actually buy the one without the drive or buy the one that you can just buy digital games and stuff like that, and you just have the console. So it just depends on what you have. But, you're right, though, because there's no way to actually physically rent videos because of the fact that now it's getting to the point where the electronics department is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller with DVDs and Blu-rays.
It's just a changing. If this came out, I guarantee you, if this came out 2010, this would have been gold. If it would have came out 2007, it might have been a little bit too early. You might have been like kind of foreshadowing. But 2010, they would have been like, aha, I remember, but in 2022 going into 2023, it's almost like, nah, I get it. It brings me back to my childhood, but it's just not funny, So it's just not. It's the reason why. This is the reason why certain remakes are hard to do, is because you have to build consensus with your audience, and I just don't think they tested it. This is what I really think is happening. Not a conspiracy theory, but I'm gonna throw this out here. They're trying to find the next Marvel, the next Avatar, the next whatever Titanic, whatever that golden saga. Titanic's not a saga, but I'm just saying whatever that golden content
standard is, right?
And because nobody really knows what the next wave is, everybody's throwing things at the wall trying to see if it sticks. This to me is Disney's Hawkeye.
Or Netflix's Hawkeye, basically, if you think about it, since it's Netflix. But yeah, Netflix, I feel like, is trying to do something to where they have another hit show on their hands. Because think of it like this. Ozark ended. Stranger Things is about to end.
Yeah.
And you have shows that are ending, so now they need new subscribers.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to figure out a way to do it. And they know nostalgia works because they have Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And they know that they can play around with the nostalgia. And what better way to do that is with Blockbuster, where you can rent movies and stuff and hit people around our age. Because kids around, get this, no kid around this generation is going to even want to watch this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't get why you would go ahead and put this in a 2022 world. You also have teenagers in a 2022 world working for Blockbuster, especially when you look at now the most realistic character on that show, believe it or not.
Yeah, you're right.
Is old dude's daughter, who just wants to be there just because of the fact that she needs a job.
Right. Wasn't that Kayla?
And then we're gonna fire her.
Yeah, they're gonna fire her. Yeah. And they should have. And Kayla, because one of the things she keeps saying is like, "Man, this job sucks." But you ever see like she's not actually working?
She's not passionate about it.
No. And what's so ironic is that if Kayla, because she's JB says like she's 16, is 20. So she's born in 2006.
Yeah.
Right. Netflix kind of comes really emerging in 06, 05, 06, 07, takes over the world by 2010. She's not really accustomed to Blockbuster. And that's what I'm saying. It's just a lot of confusion, right?
Definitely is, if you actually look at it as a whole, because it doesn't know the demographic of who it wants, where they want to take it. They don't know the demographic for this TV show.
Right.
Now, let me go into this now. Okay, so you know how we're messaging back and forth, and I wound up telling you, well, there was a couple of episodes that I did like, which is 2 episodes out of the 10 episodes that I liked.
20%.
Right, which is not good. That's feeling great. And it's the Halloween episode that winds up working for me because of the fact that you had Randall Park's character, Timmy, come in riding on that Jurassic Park dinosaur.
Yeah.
And then you have now here's the thing. This is what they could have done was the pranks within the store itself.
The twins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but instead it's just the twins across the street that are the ones who are actually just wrecking the Blockbuster and Timmy's dream of being a great boss. And basically, Timmy, that's all he wants to do is just become a great boss.
Right.
Get there, and he goes into the whole entire thing though too. I like how they do this in a real world kind of setting where it's like, well, now I got to get health insurance with these people. That's going to be taking out of my own pay. I also have to go ahead and get that taken care of. But also, too, I also have to go ahead and pay my rent. I've got this other bills that I have to cover. So it's a very realistic way of actually doing it instead of like just putting them in the store and there's no consequences for not paying rent. Because I've seen where most sitcoms will go on ahead and you don't even see anybody paying rent or anything.
But then that's where
Quincy.
That's where your director of creativity or creative control needs to sit there and create an arc, right? Create a universe for this and say, we have to make this into really the film is about entrepreneurship, the highs and the lows, managing, hiring, retaining talent, and dealing with the complexities. Now that's where the humor can be about because you're going to deal with real world issues, right? How do you deal with a failed business model, right? And basically bring life back into it. But the series takes a shift away from that, and now you start, kind of trying to just create humor out of nothing, and it's I don't know. No,
they almost went there though with Quincy and him, basically where they almost did. They almost did it.
Yeah.
And I wish they went further with it because they could have done a lot more with that than what they did. And I thought for sure Quincy was going to rat him.
That firing, like who we're going to get rid of, and they went up to Olga. He was like, "So you really don't need this job, do you?" She's like, "What would I? No, I'm just here to chat, So like there is humor in it. To say that it is total trash might be a little much, but it's definitely trash. It's definitely trash. It's not like dumpster fire trash.
It's like you find a chicken nugget out of the trash can and it's still warm.
Right. You're not going to eat that chicken nugget. You better not eat that chicken nugget. It was on the floor for a reason. But it's still a discarded chicken nugget. And this doesn't need to be remade to a second season. Netflix, just pay us. You can pay us to review your garbage films. Instead of just getting throwing money at the wall. Just pay us.
But,
we're a lot cheaper.
Okay, so oh my god. But dude, okay, so I think that another thing that for me for the Halloween episode 2 was the part where Timmy winds up going up the roof trying to put in a stink bomb, and then he winds up crashing through the roof. And he still has that dinosaur attached to him still.
And then
I mean I busted out laughing a little bit on that one.
That was funny. I'm not gonna lie. That part, I actually was like, oh, but then nothing happened after that. And I was like, okay.
No.
But it was funny. And then convincing the store manager that the twins did it, like that was pretty ingenious. And a broken clock can be right. So that was
for one episode. For that one.
Right.
Then they skip Thanksgiving and then they go straight into December for like the last episode. And you have this, Timmy decides that the best way to get more business is if you get an older actor that was part of everybody's childhood, kind of like what they did with Netflix did with Blockbuster, and they decide to go ahead and book him. And he shows up drunk at the store. Did you see that one or no?
Is that the drunk Santa that you mentioned?
Yeah.
I gave up, honestly, when I got to a certain amount of episodes. It was that bad. I couldn't put myself through another episode, John. I was trying. I was like, I'm going to get through it. Then I was like, I'm not going to do this. I think I turned on a bit. I don't know. I was just like, this is over with. I'm going to give you 4 episodes. If you don't get it right, I can't give you 10 episodes in an hour episode each. That's 10 hours out of my life. I can give you 4.
And here I am. I decided to do it for you. But the Santa Claus episode made me laugh because of the fact that it had that Sopranos kind of feel to it where Bobby, and on the Sopranos, Bobby winds up being Santa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and basically Tony forces Bobby to be Santa. And then Paulie tells him, let me tell you something, SOB. You're going to be Santa. You got that? So next thing you know, you have Bobby being forced into being Santa.
I believe it.
So then now there's a reason why I'm mentioning The Sopranos. Now with the character actor that they choose is like a childhood actor that everybody grew up with for nostalgia, and of course get this, the Randall Park character Timmy
Oh wow.
sells out and everything.
Hmm.
The guy shows out plastered and drunk, drinking out of a flask because he's a childhood star that went wrong, and he's a bum now. And so he goes, so what am I doing? You're dressing up as Santa. So then he dresses up as Santa, and Timmy's about to go ahead and introduce him. And instead, he comes out like an NFL football player, and he crashes through the paper, this Christmas wrapping paper thing that they have as a display. Comes out there like a NFL superstar football player, and comes out drunk and starts staggering, and he goes, and he just starts reminiscing about different actors and actresses and stuff like that being drunk. And I thought that part actually worked. And he goes, now say your he's like, say your catchphrase. And I forgot what he winds up saying. And I wound up laughing at that. And then after that, the stuff with the Santa Claus stuff worked. It was the stuff that was in that episode that didn't work. You wind up having, basically, Timmy winds up having the drunken Santa, the actor, still inside the store. They wind up, there's a bunch of stuff that winds up happening where a riot winds up breaking out in the store, and it's supposed to be this meteor shower that's supposed to be happening that makes the cell phones go out, makes the internet crash, and things like that. And next thing you know, people are piling in the store to rent movies because guess what? The internet is down. So whatever money that he lost because of the drunken Santa thing, he's actually gaining back. Then there's a fight that breaks out in the store. Then everybody's jacking the TVs, the TV displays. They're stealing the DVDs and everything. And Timmy's just had it. He's like, he goes, I'm just done.
Wow.
So.
And ends on that note?
Yeah, he goes, I don't want to. Well, it ends with the girlfriend. Timmy does wind up has a girlfriend.
So not the one not his coworker.
He does wind up with her.
Oh, he winds up with her.
On that last episode, he does wind up with her. And speaking of that, I feel like that they kept hitting us over the head with that.
Yeah.
Over and over again. I'm like, dude, I get it. He had a crush on her back in high school. I get it. Yeah. Okay. I get that that's the potential love interest that we might end up seeing him with towards the end of the season, but you don't have to keep reminding us about it.
Wow. So they knew that it was going to fail?
Well, basically what winds up happening is this. The girl that he winds up with, and later on in the episode, she winds up breaking up with Timmy because he called her by the co-worker's name. So then the co-worker, you know how she's trying to be with Aaron, the guy that she's with, the husband?
Yeah.
Well, he proposes to her again, tries to re-propose to her. He gets these guys singing down on bended knee.
And
then the closing, if she said yes, was going to be, I'll make love to you. And she says no to him. And so then it leaves Timmy and her together at the end of the episode. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to make of that. They basically said we don't get renewed, we could end it. They ended it, so now you have nowhere to go. This is why you cannot. This is some DC no thought, Ben Affleck is Batman type stuff. Like, yo, put some thought into this. This is not cool. This is not funny. It's always a buddy man, and that's because that whole theme, that premise, is literally taken from Superstore.
Yep.
And I don't know. That was
And
bad.
to me, it was total cliche because of the fact that we know that she's going to be with him at the end of the episode, at the end of the season.
Right.
But it's the fact that Timmy is losing faith in the store now because everything kept on happening to him within this episode. And the matter of fact, the last quote that he winds up saying is, he goes, "I'm tired of putting out another reindeer. I'm not going to put out another reindeer." And that's just, okay, let me tell you what that quote is about. Basically, his mother would keep putting out another reindeer every single year, knowing that something would happen to that reindeer, thinking that something different would happen. But it would be the same concept over and over again. And this is Randall Park's character Timmy's store is basically the reindeer. He's just tired of putting so much thought and making people care to the point where he's like, you know what, screw it. They don't care about the store. They don't care about renting movies. All they care about is themselves. I'm done.
Whew, yeah. Randall Park, I'm sorry. I appreciate your talents that you've given. I think you're a great actor. You're a fantastic talent. I think you have a promising future. I love seeing you in the Young Rock, and you're hilarious. You, Stephen Carell, Jack Black, The Rock, and Kevin Hart need to do a movie together. But this right here, don't ever discard this. Delete it from your IMBD or whatever it is. Delete it from your catalog. Don't even mention that you made it. Just collect the check. Go home, brother.
So,
go. Just collect the check and try again, my man.
another thing, though, too, I wanted to ask you this, okay? So, the other thing that I didn't like was Quincy winds up taking advantage of Timmy throughout the season, and Timmy thinks, okay, well, because the store is built on nostalgia,
right?
You know what he spends his money on? A Silence of the Lamb plate, where basically where Hannibal Lecter was making Ray Loretta eat his brains.
Yeah.
So he thinks that plate was going to draw in attraction to the store. So he bought it, and he had it up in a display, and then Quincy comes in, and he's heating up his food in their microwave because of the fact it's too cheap to use anything in his store. And so Timmy winds up asking him, "So wait, what is that?" He goes, "Oh, good thing you had this plate here. It was all sealed up and everything, but I wound up getting it." I'm like, okay,
that's terrible. Randall, like I said before, man, I love you, man. You're great. You're a great actor. You're fantastic. You're good, man. This is not it. Everybody has one. Will Smith has Wild Wild West. This is your Wild Wild West. Just take it as experience and move on.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this about the Olga character, the older woman. So what did you think of her?
Olga's not bad. Actually, Olga is developed. She's designed to do what her character is designed to do. Every show, so Olga's character would be the equivalent to in The Office. I can't think of his name. He was an accountant.
I can't think of his name.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to see because it's gonna Office cast. I'm gonna tell you because it's gonna make me upset. I don't even remember. But that's basically what her character is. She's supposed to be, the steady, chimes in when needed, humorous, but there's really no depth, so you don't have to build like a love interest or explain origins or anything. Leslie David Baker, Stanley Hudson, in The Office, right? So the accountant, that's Olga's character, basically equivalent. So I'm not upset. I mean, Olga was fine. Honestly, it's befitting, inappropriate. You're not going to hit a home run. Olga's character is not designed to hit a home run. That's not what the character is for. The characters to me that should have done more. Randall, like I said before and earlier, Randall needed an antagonist who was just as strong, just as dynamic, but could carry on themselves. JB Smoove, Percy's character is fine, but he needs to either be adapted into the whole focus of this content arc, and then you incorporate him in somewhere. Madeline, like there's a few one. There's to me, I would have swapped. Like there's other actors and actresses that maybe to me would have had a different kind of go at it. But the reality is, and I think this is a good synopsis. No matter how great a person is, no matter how great a talent is, the team still wins. And what we see here is it wasn't the cast, just like becoming Albie. It wasn't the cast's fault. It was the direction of the content. And it starts with the writers, the producers, and the directors. They control the flow. And because they, to me, did not have the proper investment and the proper strategy, the cast unfortunately takes a hit. So Olga's fine. The rest of the characters are okay. Like there's nobody I would replace. There's nobody that, like, oh man, they're hurting the film or they're hurting the content. It's just that there's not enough there to work with. So
no, there definitely isn't. There's no ground to work with. It's mediocre. It's One Direction, no pun intended with the band, but it's very but it's very paint by the numbers kind of thing with the dialogue. It's very cringy. The humor just doesn't land. Yeah. And even when they introduce this other love interest to the guy who wants to be the next Quentin Tarantino, in the Halloween episode, they both dress up as vampires, and he winds up becoming like a love interest for that character because he's also the other character is bisexual. But here's the thing: you only introduced that character into one episode, and he's gone. Yeah. Instead of having him spaced out in different seasons in different things, because I'm like, okay, what happened? Did he just take a whole entire month off of work? Or what? Because you don't even mention the guy at all after that or anything. So, yeah. I mean, they could have done something more with that.
They didn't invest in him as well. And I think it just goes to show. So it's weird. So Carlos's character. So like they brought up, he's like, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. He's like, I love movies. I remember he made the wall, the shrine in the wall, which is pretty ingenious. But instead of allowing Tyler's character to be kind of the driver, they didn't to me invest, because you honestly get caught between Madeline or Hannah's character and Tyler's character, right? And then Kayla's kind of this force in the middle that doesn't really care, and she's just there because her dad owns the shopping strip mall, right? And which is JB's character, Percy, right? So it's just a weird combination flow. Yeah. And then Olga, like the soup thing, like that's funny, but it's it's like her soups are amazing. Like when JB brought that up, that's actually not bad, but still, like it's just not flowing the way it should flow.
No, it's like you hit and then you have a dry spell in part of the episode. Yeah. And that's it. And it's not good. It's not rich. It doesn't do anything for you. It's like best value. It does. But it was also another thing too with Olga's character that really got on my nerves a little bit was the fact that she didn't want anybody helping her fix the display that had to go up.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. So, which is another Superstore. And not that I don't know if this is becoming about Superstore, but Superstore got me through the last. That's so because I used to work for Walmart. But anyway, so there's a lot of humor. But yes, Olga's character resistance should have been a field goal that added to the score. And her actions, unfortunately, Olga's character is almost a character that if you're not paying attention, you don't even recognize is there. Yeah, now that's a little, that's just a little much. So I don't know. We'll see. Exactly.
But all in all, Blockbuster is not a blockbuster at all. It's not even a blockbuster night. It fumbles on the dialogue. It fumbles on the plot lines. It fumbles on what the show wants to be. It doesn't even know its audience. It struggles to find its own identity. It's something that I really was hoping that it was going to be great because I loved the trailer.
Yeah.
If you would like to see my reaction to that trailer, which is a very positive reaction compared to this, you guys can go on ahead and check that out. Our movie lovers reacts segment that we do on here. That's actually going to be in the playlist. But as far as that goes, I think that's everything I had wanted to cover as far as the Blockbuster review. What about you?
No, I totally agree. We're agreeing on this. There's no difference between us. I had hope when I saw it on the trailer. I was like, wow, I really think this is gonna be rock star. I like Randall Park. I'm becoming a huge fan. I've seen him in a lot of stuff recently. I thought that with JB Smoove, I know JB Smoove as a comedian is absolutely hilarious. Anybody that really follows JB's career, he is a home run hitter. You just have to give him the bat. And I thought that they had enough inner workings to pull this off. Eliza's characters, Carlos's characters, Kayla's, Olga's, Tyler, Melissa, Madeline, all of them, they had value. They have value and they contributed well. The only flop, or I would say the person to blame, is honestly just the creative control. So director, writer, producer, that team has to get together and put out something that is noteworthy. And unfortunately, Netflix, you dropped the ball on this. If you just want to give away money, John and Cody will gladly accept all payments. You could pay us 50% of what you paid them, and you still come out.
Exactly. Which is probably about $15,000.
Right. Per episode. We're doing this per episode.
But yeah, that's going to conclude our Blockbuster review. And Vernon, tell everybody where they can reach you at, because I've been forgetting to get people to do their tags sometimes. So go on ahead, talk about your podcast for a minute.
Look, it is what it is. Business-tainment, right? So we rebranded, we refocused, we're really focusing on the business niche, but the things about business that pertain to it more than just going to work or whatnot, but the ins and outs, the X's and O's in life. As I say, not left, not right, just life, right? We want to bring together a lot of different voices and a lot of different views that really affects our day-to-day interactions in business and economy. And we always want to provide an entertainment value to that. And, that's why I call it business-tainment. Connect with with me, CVMK33 Instagram. And also, we added the new Instagram page. It is what it is, _show. And also, where the best supplements are. Got with me right here, Superpower. Best pre-workout, best breast amino acids, super thick creatine. Only at www.cvmkglobal.store, YouTube. The handle now that we have handles, CVMK. That's where you can connect with me.
Awesome. So, guys, I also have a little bit of an announcement, though, too. On November 22nd at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time, I'm going to have actor Coleman Domingo on the show. If you don't know who he is, he played in movies such as the new Candyman movie. He also played in Fear the Walking Dead. And he's also playing in the remake of The Color Purple, which the reason why he's being on my show is because I had a chance and a privilege to be able to review his short film, New Moon. And Alex and I had the privilege to be able to review that film. So that's why he's going to be on my show on November 22nd at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. It's going to be a great time. So if you guys have questions or anything like that and you want Mr. Domingo to answer your questions, it is going to be a live broadcast. So you guys are going to be able to do that. It's going to be a fun time. Alex is going to be with me from A-Town Movie Reviews. Go ahead and check him out. He's my co-host. He's my good friend. Check him out whenever you guys can. And that's going to wrap it up as far as this review goes. And I hope everyone has a great and safe and blessed night. And bye-bye.